Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our fifth installment of Breakfast with REALTOR Champions. My name is Louis Grubbs, and I'm president of the Raleigh Regional Association of Realtors for 2020. This morning, I'm joined by State Political Coordinator Shannon Bryan, as well as two members of our advocacy team, our Government Affairs Director, Jordan Forrest, and our Vice President of Policy Engagement, Casey Angel. The four of us could not be more excited to welcome a true REALTOR champion today, Representative Joe John. Representative, before I hand things over to Shannon, I want to thank you for our leadership and partnership, and for your leadership and partnership with us. And we are grateful to have you as a REALTOR champion. We love it. We appreciate all that you do. So on behalf of the 9,200 plus members of the Raleigh Regional Association of Realtors, I want to say thank you and welcome you today. And Shannon, back to you. You're muted.
I'm muted. That would be helpful if I'd unmute. Thank you so much, President Grubbs. Yes, on behalf of our association, we really want to thank you so much. You've been a great partner with us, Representative John, and we are just so thankful. And we're so excited to have some time to talk with you this morning and hear about your plans for office. So before we get started, for those of you that are joining us live this morning, staff is going to be monitoring the Q&A section. So if you have questions, go ahead and throw them in there for the representative. And just feel free to utilize that feature as we move through our call this morning. So Representative John, we're going to go ahead and get started with some questions. For everybody at home that may not know you, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and how you came to serve on the North Carolina General Assembly.
Well, thank you all for having me with you this morning. I'm particularly honored to be designated a REALTOR Champion because of my family's connection with the real estate industry. My wife has been a realtor her entire adult life. She primarily in residential real estate, although when we were in Greensboro, there were about 4 years when she was in commercial leasing. So I've heard all the possible stories, I think, about issues that arise on a day-to-day basis in your industry. Also, one of my sons, Joe Jr., now is a real estate attorney with Bagwell Holt Smith. Their office, I believe, is in Morrisville, and he has a separate office in Wake Forest. So what I hear from them is that the industry is doing well, and Joe claims to have 20 plus closings a week. So I guess things are going well, and that's good, and that's great to hear. My personal background, I'm a lawyer by profession. I started out as a legal aid attorney in Greensboro. Shortly thereafter, became a prosecutor, district court judge, superior court judge, court of appeals judge. So I've spent the bulk of my adult life in the judicial system. After retiring from the judiciary, I was asked to work as a deputy commissioner of the DMV, and then subsequently was asked to be the director of the North Carolina State Crime Laboratory. So I've had that background and experience both in the judicial branch and the executive branches of government, and now I'm taking my turn in the legislative branch. I guess, how did I get here? It was essentially the position at the State Crime Lab was phasing out, and I was, I guess, faced with the options of the rocking chair on the front porch or continuing in public service, and I chose the latter. Well, I was fortunate to be elected, and am now completing my second term. Looking forward to a third term with help of folks like you all, and we hope we can get to some pretty critical issues next year. I anticipate hopefully being in some leadership role at that time. So maybe we'll be able to advance some things jointly.
Awesome. Yeah. So speaking of 2021, what are your top priorities going into next year?
Yeah, there are a handful that probably are right at the top. There's a fairly long list. My top priority, day one, has been a truly independent, nonpartisan, fair redistricting commission to draw legislative and congressional districts, so that we will have citizens selecting their representatives instead of politicians selecting their voters. As you may know, the General Assembly currently draws the districts. Both parties have abused that process to draw districts favorable to them, and that's just not the way things should work. What it's resulted in is a number of safe districts, and politicians who are not do not have to be fair and accountable, can be very rigid on things, and that's not the way we're going to get things done here in North Carolina. Expanding Medicaid is at the top of the list. We're only one of 12 states that now do not participate in the expanding of Medicaid system, which means your taxes, my taxes, and all the folks who may be out there are going to support Medicaid expansion in the 38 other states that have it. And this has been particularly exacerbated during the pandemic, because many folks have lost their employer provided health insurance and are left without insurance. So that just, again, I profess to be a common sense individual, and that seems to me just to make common sense, that we need to provide for the hundreds of thousands of North Carolinians who are without health insurance during a health crisis, and keep our tax dollars or put our federal tax dollars to work here in North Carolina instead of states elsewhere.
Yeah.
I'm, because of my judicial background, I'm particularly concerned about maintaining a truly fair and nonpartisan and independent judiciary here in North Carolina. I introduced a bill to return judicial elections to the nonpartisan status that unfortunately did not move through committee this past time. I'll be doing that, working on that again. It just, again, seems to make common sense that we cannot expect judges, what we all expect them to be, fair, impartial, independent on the one hand, and be partisan politicians on the other hand. It just that makes no sense. We've got the Leandro decision out there. We've got to start working on fully funding our schools so that they are equipped to provide what the Leandro decision requires, that is, providing a sound basic education for all North Carolina children, and be able to respond to events like the pandemic.
Right.
I guess one other issue is fairly critical, and that's investing in broadband access all across North Carolina. That's, again, that has been brought to the forefront by the pandemic, when we're relying, as we are today, on the internet and so forth. And it's important to assist students, teachers, healthcare providers, small businesses throughout the state who are wholly dependent on reliable internet service. So there, as I said, there are many more, but I guess maybe the most important thing to me is that we've got to put aside this toxic politics of finger pointing and come together and actually start working on behalf of all the citizens of North Carolina. And I sure hope we get there.
Yeah, well, and you are the guy with the background to do it, having kind of dabbled in each of these different branches. And I know you're very active in the community as well. So tell me, what's your favorite thing about serving this community?
You know, one thing I did not mention that we actually spend a good bit of time on in the office, and both I and my legislative assistant participate in, is just constituent service. There are folks who confronting the bureaucracy of state government and don't know where to go or how to approach a particular issue, and we spend a good bit of time in that, and that's there's some truly gratifying stories when we can open a door for somebody who's really deserving. So I would say that, and also after all these years of I guess as a judge in enforcing the law and as a member of the executive branch in applying law, now I can use that experience to perhaps make the laws a little more amenable to as I say, common sense. And
Yeah, I absolutely love that approach. And speaking of community, the way I found out about Joe John was through Becky, who works with him now on his campaign and in his office. Becky's one of my neighbors, and she organized within our neighborhood a fight against Aqua, and I cannot thank you enough, Representative John, for coming down. I mean, you were at every hearing, you stood by our side, you fought like shoulder to shoulder with us on some of those issues, and we cannot thank you enough. I mean, this is true representative government, and we just appreciate you so much on that fight.
Thank you. And that was a really egregious situation, and I think the fact that we were all able to come together and present the situation to the commission made a big difference. So thank you all for your participation.
Yeah. So before we head over to questions from our viewers, are there final thoughts you want to share? Anything that we didn't talk about that you'd like to really get out to voters who are going to the ballot box this November?
No, actually, that is the most important thing this November. We keep saying it is a very crucial, critical election. The General Assembly, assuming we do not go to a nonpartisan redistricting commission, the General Assembly elected this year will be responsible for drawing legislative and congressional districts, which will be in effect for the next 10 years. So it's a very critical time or an important time to look at the folks who you'll be sending to the General Assembly to perform this very, very, very important task. So if absolutely, please vote.
Yeah, it seems like, I mean, every election is important, but it seems like we're at a crossroads in our country where every election is even more important this year. So absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Casey, do we have any questions? Or I'm sure you probably may have some questions as well for Representative John.
Representative John, I think you did a great job. I think we've covered everything, and I love the note that we're ending on today. Please, everyone, make sure you're registered to vote. Make sure you go out and vote. We have some deadlines coming up here in North Carolina for registration. You can check all of that out on our website. We put it all in one place where you can access it. But please make sure you vote. That is very important. We do have one comment. Oh, we have a comment from Ward. He wanted to tell you that he appreciates all your hard work and especially appreciates that you're staying in the fight. Could you talk a little bit about the housing bond coming up for vote? And I believe that means the affordable housing bond coming up here in Raleigh.
Yeah, that of course is a city of Raleigh initiative and issue. I think if you're asking me how I'm going to vote, I'm not a resident of the city of Raleigh, so I won't be voting on it. If I were, I would be supporting that initiative. I think affordable housing is an issue that's been with us now for a number of years. We heard these horror stories of our first responders, law enforcement, teachers who work in Wake County, but cannot afford to live in Wake County. And so we need to address that situation. And I think this will be a good step in that direction.
And President Grubbs had a question. Do you want to go ahead and ask yourself, President?
Yeah, thank you, Jordan. I will. Representative John, you've mentioned independent redistricting and having a committee or a council put together within the General Assembly to do that. My question is regarding both sides of the aisle from a common sense perspective, because I like that thought. Where is the political will within a General Assembly on this issue? Is there a sense of bipartisanship on creating an independent group that would create independent redistricting?
That's a good question, Lewis. And obviously, as I mentioned, both sides have been guilty of abusing the process very candidly over the years, and it's not going to get to the stage where we will move forward with a truly independent commission until both sides have skin in the game, and this may be the election that where the numbers will be so close in the General Assembly that that there will be this will that you speak of. I've introduced and sponsored bills both terms that I've been in. That will probably be among the one or two first bills presented by our side of the aisle, and the governor has indicated his support for that process. So maybe this time, Lewis, we hope so.
Thank you. Hope so too.
Well, I think that is all of our questions for today. Thank you again for joining us, and we'll end off where we thought we were ending off earlier. Everyone, please go vote and support our Realtor Champions. So thanks everyone for your time this morning, and I hope you guys have a great day.
Thank you very much.